welcome back to Marta from Sparta. I am very excited for this episode. I will show you how to make this amazing modern clock and candle holders. Everything is very contemporary and looks simple, but stay tuned. I'm gonna give you feedback and honest opinion on how easy this viral clock and viral candle holders was to make. I came across a clock video and the candle video on Instagram. They were trending and they went viral because apparently they're so easy to make. But I thought that, yeah, I love working with plasters, so why not? And I love contemporary accessories and home decor, so let me give it a try. But oh boy, that was a journey. I'm listing all materials you need on the screen right now, so grab and screenshot and let's get started. So we're definitely gonna need plaster of Paris. This is the main ingredient to all this project. We're gonna also need a clock mechanism. I bought it on Amazon, and this clock mechanism include few options. You can choose what you want. And we're gonna need balloons, and I'm gonna explain later. And I had at home styrofoam cutter, but you can use simple kitchen knife, pair of gloves, and obviously styrofoam blocks. And how big, it depends how big you want to make your clock. First of all, you need to select, as I mentioned, the mechanism kit comes with a few different options. So you can choose which one it fits your interior. I chose very contemporary options because that's how my interior is. And there is two mechanism included in the packet. So we will start with fitting and marking where do you want your clock mechanism to be located. I had to glue 4 blocks of styrofoam because I couldn't find a big enough styrofoam um, to have it as in a one piece. So I glued 4 blocks of styrofoam and I placed my mechanism right in the center because that's where I want my clock holders to be. And once I marked everything, I will take everything to the garage and start working on cutting styrofoam using styrofoam cutter. The reason why I'm doing this in the garage is because the specific foam cutter is very stinky. It's gonna stink up your house terribly. So if you're using the same tool as I do, please take it to the garage. I promise you, you won't regret it. Once you have everything marked, I thought everything will be so simple like on Instagram video. I started to cut the marked area for my clock holder mechanism, I'm sorry. And I thought, oh wow, this is so easy until you have to get to the deeper and deeper layers. And then I start to hit hiccups. It was very hard to reach it with this styrofoam cutter tool. It was really difficult to cut really nice even square, and then I decided just to cut my square half and start cutting a nice even square for my clock mechanism. Also, you have to make the front wall very thin because clock mechanism has to stick out. If it's too thick, obviously you're not gonna be able to install the rest of the clock. So please make sure that once you are working on cutting out the hole for the clock mechanism, the front wall is thin enough to push the mechanism through. Once I get that, it was very annoying. It took me quite a while to fit it. You can start and cut the edges of the clock. I wanted to have it like this very raw looking, kind of like a brick um, vibe. So this part, it was super fun. I had so much fun shaping my styrofoam into this uneven brick looking piece, and that took me no time using foam cutter, and it was super fun process. I think that from all, that was the part which I enjoyed the most. So take your time, make sure you like everything. And the hole on in the front of the styrofoam is way bigger than it's supposed to be, but don't worry about it. I'm gonna have to spackle everything anyway. So the front hole, it was a little bit too big, but I wasn't concerned about it because, as I mentioned, I will spackle it anyway. Since I cut my styrofoam block in a half in order to make more even hole for the clock mechanism in the back, I figured out that instead of using liquid nails, I will just spackle it. So I did spackle it first. I put enough spackle in between the blocks so they're gonna bond together, and I was keep adding the spackle until the spackle is actually of until there is too much the spackle, and when I was putting them together, the spackle was coming out. Then I knew that it's enough between the blocks to actually fuse them together. And then obviously the next step, it goes without saying, you have to put a first layer of spackle all over your styrofoam. I started, before I fused two halves of my block, I started to fill up the space for the clock mechanism first before I'm gonna fuse two blocks together. So start with that. If you're gonna get to the point that you have to cut them half like I did, start with this space, because then this area, if you're gonna fuse your block, it will be the hardest to fill. So once I did that, then I obviously fused them together, and then I put first layer of plaster of Paris on it all over. And plaster of Paris, thin layers tend to dry in 20 minutes. So in the meantime, I prepared the project for the candle holders, but make sure you really cover the whole styrofoam with the first thin layer. Don't worry to be perfect, because it's supposed to be imperfect. So once my clock was drying, I decided to work on my candle holders. And I had to figure it out based on the other reel, how to actually make it, because I thought the filling up balloons will be fairly easy, but then I figured out like how I'm gonna pour the mixture to it. So I cut the plastic bottle and I put balloon over it, with the idea of pouring the plaster into the balloon this way. And yeah, that would work, and that would actually be pretty cool. But I noticed that balloons, it's not expanding. It's not enough plaster in it to create the candle holder. So then I came to the conclusions like, oh bummer, I think my balloon is too thick and the plaster is too light. So I had another balloons in my home at my home, way thinner than the original balloon. But at the time when I figured out what's going on, my plaster actually set and it was way too thick to pour. So I was very lucky because plaster got thicker and my clock required a second coat already. So the plaster which was too thick, I used on the clock, and I decided to make new batch for my balloons. So this is my second approach, and I'm using thinner balloons than the one which I originally thought they're gonna work. And I use the same technique, pouring through the water bottle. And then I was like, oh shoot, how I'm gonna take it off now without making mess. So first one, I actually tried to pull it, and I pulled. It was fairly easy, but look at my sweatshirt. The spackle splattered all over me, and it was already super messy. It splattered on my face, it splattered at everything. So all this cute Instagram reel, which shows how glamorous and easy it is, they're not true. And I found, because the candles were viral, I found a lot of content creators who actually give you the same feedback as I did. Be prepared for a lot of mess, for washing your clothes or uh, clean your area, because this is nothing like they show on this viral Instagram reel to make these candle holders. So as you see already, my sweatshirt is covered with a spackle. Then obviously I was trying to figure out how to hold the candles down with a balloon. So I had this clamp, and I have this clamp with a square head, which is actually not good for it, because the head of the clamp is way too big and it will make marks on your mold. I managed to put it right in the middle of the candle without touching the mold, so this one worked fine, and I was pretty happy with this one. Then I had to make another batch of plaster, because with this plaster you have to work super fast. It sets very fast, so I decided to prepare all balloons, and I was working super fast. It was super stressful. I really didn't like this process because I like to enjoy what I'm doing. And then I figured out that I have to keep on moving because the plaster is setting, and I will never make it with the 5 candles if I'm gonna take my time. I decided to fill up all balloons first and then actually put them with a clamp on my table. If I would be doing this the other way around, there is no way I would make it before the plaster would set. And yes, you can make a thinner mixture, but what's gonna happen? It's not gonna set. So mixture has to be perfect consistency, otherwise it will never set if you make it too thin. So then I was thinking like, well, where should I put the ties of the balloons? If I'm gonna put it on the bottom, then when I'm gonna flip the candle holder, I'm gonna see it. If I'm gonna put it when the candle will be always sitting there, and nobody will never see like the marks from the tie. So I decided not to do it on the bottom of my candle holder. I decided to put it where the candle will be. And that's another issue we're hitting over here. It's not that easy actually to balance the candle, and the clamps were way too big. So on some of my candle holders, I got the marks from the clamps. So you really have to have this tiny clamps. Then I noticed that that's the video which actually showing you using different clamps, and these clamps are actually perfect. But balancing balloons with this clamp was super challenging. It was bouncing back. I couldn't actually balance the nut wherever I wanted to be. I finally made it, but at this point I was like, oh my god, I'm over it. This is nothing like I saw on the Instagram video. And as always, and we should all know that Instagram is just everything is so perfect over there. And yep, I'm pretty good at figuring out all the projects, but oh boy, would I make that candle holders again? No. God no, I wouldn't repeat this project. It was not worth it. It was struggle. It was so messy, and I used different balloons over here, which also didn't work. I tried condoms, and don't even try condoms if you're gonna get to this idea, oh, balloons are too thick, let's use the condoms. No, on the video you will see condoms exploded immediately. It couldn't hold it. So 2 out of 6 candle holders only made it till the end and actually holding up amazingly. And the reason for it is I lost four for for two different reasons. Two of them had huge air pockets in the balloons. And then obviously I didn't get the shape I wanted because once I opened the balloon, air pockets popped and the spackle cracked. So I don't know why I didn't recorded them. Then two of them, consistency of plaster of Paris, as I mentioned before, was not good enough. So they didn't set and they didn't harden. So obviously the next step is self-explanatory. You have to install the clock mechanism i- on your brick, in your brick. And I had to poke a bigger hole because I spackled the hole over. As you saw on my garage part of the video, I made the hole way too big. So I spackle it with the idea that I'm gonna drill the hole or I'm gonna poke bigger hole if I needed to. So I'm not gonna teach you how to install the clock mechanism because if you will buy it on Amazon like I did, there is a video attached to their website on the Amazon. So I chose very contemporary clock. At least this part was super easy. I have to just say I was covered with a sawdust. Spackle dust, and it was super messy to deal with it, but at the end the clock came out amazing. I had a little bit troubleshooting with the clock mechanism, and I have to say that if you're making the clock like I did, make sure that the front surface is flat because that's gonna stop from your clock working properly. At the end I made everything work and I was very happy how the clock came out, but again, nothing was easy, nothing like the viral reel was showing. They skip a lot of informations and steps, and I have to figure out this myself. The clock mechanism to install was easy as described on Instagram, and I decided to actually spray my candle holders in color black because my kitchen is black and white and that's what I want them to be. So the one where one of them has little bit dents from a clamp, but it's okay, it doesn't bother me. But that's what I mentioned before. Be careful when you are clamping them because you will have marks. But overall, if it was worth the time, absolutely not. Candle holders, absolutely not. Frustration and a lot of mess, and yeah, absolutely not worth your time to make these candle holders. As far as the clock goes, yes, it was challenging, but the only challenge was that it was lack of information which was provided how to make it. Once I did it once, I think the next one would be super fast and easy. Maybe it would be the same with the candle holders. Now I know all this information which I'm sharing with you, which I had to figure out myself. Um, Probably it would be way easier. Would I do it again? No, I would definitely not. It's not worth it. It looks beautiful. It came out gorgeous. It's really perfect for my space. But oh God, I would never ever approach making those candle holders again.
Hey, but before we go ahead and start, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit this notification button so you won't miss my next video. Every week I will share with you fun, easy and creative ideas on the budget. And if you have expensive taste like me and you want to keep your bank account happy as well, this is the right place for you.